It's Noah Walker and Danny Jessup. And this is the first time I like this, where we have Card Hoarder versus Metagame Gurus, both in the 8-1 bracket. Teamer emerge, Sultai emerge. Now, generally, this is a matchup that is favoring of Sultai emerge. However, Danny's on a mulligan to 5, so we'll see if it just plays out that way.
And the Sultai emerge deck, it does need some cards in hand. Big part of its game hinges on activating Haunted Dead, discarding 2 cards. But a lot of the game is just casting these graveyard enablers and trying to set up your prized amalgam Haunted Dead interaction.
Yeah, first play from Noah is going to be a grapple. Now, Danny played a turn 1 Evolving Wilds and then didn't crack it. Actually just played a turn 2 second Evolving Wilds.
Yeah, maybe doesn't have a third land, isn't sure which colors he needs to find. He is playing a 3-color deck here.
And Noah, so after the grapple, plays into a Pilgrim's Eye. He has instant, enchantment, and land in his graveyard. So 3 card types right now. If Danny kills that Pilgrim's Eye, it'll bump Noah all the way up to 5.
And if he doesn't kill that Pilgrim's Eye, we could see a Deep Fiend game.
Rocking a hard place here for Dan Jessup. And see, now he goes and gets a island and forest off those Evolving Wilds. The advantage of the Teamer Merge deck here, if I'm not wrong, is that its late game is bigger. It has more it has 3 Emrakuls. It has more of an ability to get Emrakul back. It has Ishkana, whereas for Dan Jessup, it has this value game, these prized amalgams, these haunted deads.
One strength that the Sultai Emerge deck does have is there's not a lot you can really do to mess them up when you cast Emrakul. You can make one of their creatures run into your Emrakul. You can make them use one of their enabler spells for no value, but mostly they're just putting creatures on the table over and over again.
So on Danny's side, he's trying to put these pieces together on his mulligan. Cracks both those Evolving Wilds, spends his 3rd turn traversing for his 3rd color. That's a swamp. For Noah, it's a hit with the Pilgrim's Eye. He plays a 4th land and just passes. As we know, it's not just a pass. 4 lands plus the 3 mana from the Pilgrim's Eye. He'll emerge an Elder Deep Fiend and tap Danny out for the whole turn.
And so Danny has a very slow hand. Of course, he mulliganed to 5. He has not been doing any of the things he really wants to be doing on turns 2 or 3, and now there's a Deep Fiend pressuring him.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad things going on here for Jessup. He missed the land drop there. Noah has a 5/6 in play. You see now Noah looks to be casting a ramp spell, Nissa's Pilgrimage. On top of that, Noah is ramping up to 6 lands here. He has 5 card types in his graveyard, a shrine, and on the very next turn, Noah can Emrakul him.
Not bad.
Yeah, it'll be a turn 6 Emrakul on the play from Noah.
So any game in this matchup that concludes rather quickly, I think they are going to generally be these Elder Deep Fiend games. There's going to be a lot of grinding happening otherwise. And the Sultai Emerge, I think, is generally favored in the mid-game. Once we start getting to the Emrakul phase, if Noah is not under significant duress, then I think he is favored in the very late game if we progress that way.
And what a play here for Noah. He's draw. Well, he played Gather the Pack, hit a Deep Fiend and an Emrakul. So now you could even see next turn Deep Fiend land, next turn Emrakul. Like, Danny might not even have another turn.
He doesn't have enough permanence to keep playing Magic through Deep Fiend.
Well, he'll try to get something going. Grapple with the Past shows 3 creatures, Jace, Prized Amalgam, and Haunted Dead. Danny will take the Jace. But did he hit a land to go with the Planeswalker? He did. It's Yavimaya Coast. And now he's got to think, does he want Jace or does he have to bring back that Haunted Dead? Or does it even matter? Yeah, he'll just pass.
Yeah, does it matter is the real question. We'll see if he has any extra prized amalgam in hand. He can put some power and toughness onto the battlefield, a non-insignificant amount, but he is very far behind already.
Noah's swinging a Deep Fiend. For Jessup, he's considering if he wants to put a Spirit token in the way with that Haunted Dead.
Yeah, making that block happen seems like where Jessup wants to be. He has to buy some time.
Well, he did just see that Noah has another Deep Fiend in his hand. So if he goes to 9, he's got to be concerned that Noah will just tap out all his blockers next turn and hit with 2 Deep Fiends.
Yep.
Discards Kozilek's Return and Prized Amalgam. That's a great play. He'll get a Spirit token. It'll jump in front of the Eldrazi. Noah gives him a thumbs up. That's fine. Land 7, Yavimaya Coast. He actually will cast Emrakul. Does he have 6 card types? He does. Okay, so Emrakul, she'll hit a turn earlier than we had thought. And now, Noah's going to take Danny's turn, and this can be so damaging. You see these Deep Fiends. 2 Deep Fiends in hand, Traverse in hand, Jace, a land, 2 Amalgams, and a Haunted Dead.
So, given that Danny has those 2 Deep Fiends, Noah hasn't won just yet. These ones are kind of hard to sabotage.
Yeah, sometimes you can make their Deep Fiends eat other cards. What he's going to do here is he's going to suicide the Haunted Dead on the attack, then have Danny bring back Haunted Dead. And this is a cute trick here. He's going to activate Haunted Dead and in response activate it again. It's not how I would play my Haunted Dead. That just seems like you're giving away extra cards.
Okay. So this merge deck is a little less Emrakul proof than I thought, as we see that he had a pretty good hand and just mind twisted himself.
Discarded all the cards. Got the Haunted Dead back, got a Spirit, and now Jessup takes a turn. He's at 13. There's a 13-13 trample. And Danny's going to go ahead and pack this one in. He knows that Noah has another Deep Fiend. That's far too much to work through.
Yeah. This deck is really powerful.
The Teamer Emerge deck is not messing around. I was saying, for a ramp deck, it's got so much play to it.
Yeah. A lot of raw power. And we saw there that was a Deep Fiend on turn 4. It did not take much longer for the Emrakul to come down.
All right, so for Noah Walker, the Teamer Emerge player, you might not know him. On Team Card Hoarder, he is from Amherst, Massachusetts. He actually has 2 open wins and 6 open top 8s. For someone who's only 20, he's establishing quite the resume for himself. Originally was more of a legacy star. He's showing diversity in a lot of formats in the last few months.
Yeah, just a generally solid technical player.
Favorite color is blue. Could be magic related, could be not magic related. You just don't know with that one.
No one knows. He's a man of mystery. Doesn't even have a third piece of information that he wants to tell you.
Noah 8-1 is a great tournament. He and Danny right now in 2nd and 3rd. Only Frank Scarron ahead of them in the tournament. Only 7 players at 8-1.
Yeah, off to commanding starts in this event.
So we're going to look at the sideboards. Let's start with Noah on Teamer Emerge. He's got a pair of trackers, News Constrictors, Dispels, Negates, and then he has a set of 1-ofs. Coax from the Blind Eternities, Kiora, Invasive Surgery, Lashweed Lurker, Learn from the Past. Love that card if you don't know it. Ulamog and Nissa.
If you can find a good window for Learn from the Past, that's great here. You can shuffle these Amalgams, Haunted Deaths back into Jessup's deck, so that one seems solid. Theoretically, Tireless Tracker can play here. You're going to see some grinding games. Tracker, you can find a way, you can get it up to 4 toughness. It can just bounce, kill all these prized Amalgams in every combat, so that one seems okay, and it helps your value plan.
If you aren't familiar with Learn from the Past, this is the 4-mana instant that shuffles a player's graveyard up into their deck, and then you draw a card. Very good, especially I would think against this kind of strategy.
Yeah, and this format, it's these decks specifically that causes people to play that inefficient of a graveyard hate card. And we go over to Jessup sideboard, 2 Transgress the Mind, 2 Collective Brutality, 2 Pulse from Marasa, 2 Ultimate Price, 2 To the Slaughter, Infinite Obliteration, Guilt Leaf Winnower, a Languish, Painful Truce, and a Mountain. So what Jessup has here, I love Infinite Obliteration. Get those Emrakuls out. Transgress the Mind, same thing. And Collective Brutality is good at just getting an enabler out of Noah's hand in the early game.
Well, you're joining us here for the Richmond Open. We are now into Season 3. That's our last season here in 2016 of the tour, which means every month we're going to have a Standard Open and Modern Open. So you see in September, Richmond is our Standard event. In 2 weeks, we'll be in Orlando, moving our way down the East Coast for Modern. Next month in October, Standard and Modern. Standard is in Indianapolis. We take a break for regionals, but then at the end of the month, we go to Modern. This is in Milwaukee, so we'll be in the middle of the country. I know I'll be there covering the Milwaukee Open. You'll be there with me as well. Going to November, we have Standard and Open. Standard and Modern. We have Standard in Knoxville and Modern in Columbus. We also have our Season 3 Legacy Open. That one's in Baltimore, November 5th and 6th. Now, of course, the season finishes with an invitational. It's going to be the Season 3, the last invitational of 2016. It's December 2nd through 4th, so earlier than normal in Atlanta. Standard and Modern is for the whole 3-day weekend.
Coming down to Hotlanta.
Even in December, is it still Hotlanta in December?
Especially in December.
It is warmer than Minneapolis in December, so I'll take it.
Exactly.
Now, if we do have our new playmats for the season as well, depending on the event you are playing. So this is If you play a Standard Open or a Standard Sunday Classic, we're giving you the playmat with the Art of Dark Salvation. You see here, this one actually did see some play in Standard. Eric Hawkins used it in his Invitational Top 8 Zombies deck, a deck which I'm thrilled about.
Yeah, that deck's sweet.
All right, Modern, we have Steel Overseer given away. Of course, this is just all the Eric Hawkins playmats. If you followed his run to the top, those are both of his decks, played Affinity as well. And then we go to Legacy, the Legacy playmat, and this one, Sensei's Divining Top. I love this card. I love this playmat. This is the Eternal Masters art.
Yep. Eric Hawkins plays one copy of this card in his Storm deck in Legacy. It's a tool that's recently kind of caught on for Storm. You can keep using it, especially against the discard spells. It's just a great card, obviously.
I like this card in combo decks. I was always less fair about it. You could get these with any Open or Classic. When I used to play High Tide back before that deck became really unplayable, I would repeal Sensei's Divining Tops. And then, see, that's just value.
My history with Sensei's Divining Top is Death Cloud and Extended. So it was a green-black deck that shuffled a lot, and you didn't want to play a lot of Death Clouds. So you played one, and the top helped you find it.
I didn't realize I played it. I played Death Cloud in Modern, like right when Modern had started. But I didn't realize you couldn't play top. It was banned.
You couldn't play top in that deck.
I didn't realize that the Extended one played it.
Oh, yeah, that deck was sweet.
I mean, Death Cloud was great. This is back when they had old worlds, the 3-day, 18-round events.
Yep.
What was neat about them is you didn't have to register your deck until you started that day. So I got, it'd be like, I remember at one point I ended up in the zoo bracket because I kind of knew who I was going to play against. I said, you know what? We're going to audible to Death Cloud. Let's just, because I was really new and I was playing against, my bracket was full of people who were really good and better than me. I said, I need some training wheels on this bike. That's fine. Let's just. And then I still went 50-50 against Zoo because good players are really good.
That doesn't sound like a solidly positive matchup either.
No, I mean, at the time it was good. It was good.
Okay.
All right, we're starting here. Game number 2. Dan Jessup on the play with Forrest, Vessel of Nason, Seifer, Walker. Jessup once again starting with some fewer cards. He's on a mulligan to 6. He was on a mulligan to 5 last game, so.
And the real test is going to be if he's able to cast a spell on turn 2. That's what his deck needs to be doing to get on the ground.
The fact that he started last game on Evolving Wilds, Traverse the Ulfenvault, that felt like it was the game.
Yeah, traversing for a basic on turn 3 and just not doing anything.
When it rains, it pours. He'll cast turn 2, Gather the Pack. He mills 3 lands, Grapple from the Past, and Haunted Dead. This is going to be an interesting choice if this is a 0-card Grapple or a 1-card Grapple.
Yeah, Haunted Dead does most of its best work out of the graveyard, though you can cast it and make a Spirit token when you get to 4.
He does give some Delirium, instant sorcery, and thanks to Haunted Dead, he has Creature to go with land.
Oh, Creature, he did put it in his hand.
Oh, no, he did put it in his hand. You're right. He wants to, so is he planning to cast it on 4? I don't even know if I've seen this deck do that yet.
It's certainly an option available depending on what's going on in the hand. If that was his only enabler, what else is he doing? If he doesn't have any prized amalgams in hand, it just kind of makes sense to put it in and cast it if he's not getting there.
Traverse the Ulfenvault for a land, plays Jace. All right, now I think I know how it's getting there.
Danny's hands look to be, I don't know if they're considerably below average. They're certainly below average. I mean, clearly he's mulliganing, but this is not the height of this deck's power level.
Well, they're not ramping, that's for sure. They're just doing cantrip things, which don't get me wrong, I love cantrip things. A good blue-green cantrips deck.
Right. And with Noah's deck, sometimes you see the Teamer Emerge deck struggle a little bit when Primal Druid is not lining up. We saw it against Green-Blue Crush just kind of hanging out previously in the tournament. Though with Danny's deck, he has to find very specific things with the cantrips quickly. Because if Noah is setting up, when he gets on the table, he's casting Emeralds and chaining Deep Fiends, where Danny's mostly making zombies. So he does have the Deep Fiend element as well.
Danny's going to go ahead and flip the Jace into a Planeswalker, discarding Haunted Dead. Now, Noah has played on curve green ramp spells, but they all are delayed payoffs, right? He's got a Vessel into Primal Druid into Nissa Vastwood Seer. But the Vessel hasn't cracked, the Druid hasn't died, and the Nissa hasn't flipped. So at some point, these cards are going to be great, but not yet.
Just a couple more lands, and Primal Druid can start emerging Deep Fiend. Theoretically, he could go for a Wretched Gryff on the next turn if he wanted to, if he was in the market for that sort of thing.
Transgress the Mind from Jessup. This is one of the reasons when I was playing Teamer Emerge, I couldn't beat this Sultai deck. And it might just be because I'm not the master that Michael Majors is, and I'll just say that one up front. But the fact that they got access to this discard just felt unfair.
Well, something that Noah does have going for him this night, it's not just the fact that he has redundant Deep Fiends already. He has an uncracked Vessel, which you can just kind of sit on to dodge Sorcery Speed discard.
That's fair. 2 Deep Fiends. And remember, either of them can emerge next turn off of Nissa, otherwise, and then Learn from the Past is the last card, which that can be cast next turn as well. And that's really bad for Danny. He's got a flipped Jace. He's got a Haunted Dead. Ugh. And he can't get it back. His land drop is Evolving Wilds. Noah can just fire this one off.
Yeah, that's likely going to be Noah's play on the following turn, though Danny doesn't have any prized amalgams in the graveyard just yet, so he won't be losing a ton of his payoff. He does play a bunch of Haunted Dead. There's 3 more copies in the deck.
I'll have to find one again. And Noah, I think he needs to do this quickly, otherwise Jace flashes back that Transgress. Well, I guess he's going to wait. He's going to let Danny -3. So he plays land and says, go.
Right.
So with how Haunted Dead works, if Danny pays 2 to get it back, there's still a window before it hits the battlefield.
Yeah, it's not like a flashback spell. So there's a difference between putting a creature onto the battlefield from the graveyard and flashing back a spell. If you pay a flashback cost, you're actually casting the spell. It's on the stack.
So if you flashed back a spell, I can't Learn from the Past in response. It's
exactly.
It's
Say I pay the flashback spell cast on Think Twice. Think Twice is now on the stack. I activate the ability of Haunted Dead. Haunted Dead is still a card in my graveyard. If you remove it, I can't put it back onto the battlefield from my graveyard.
And now I see Danny's graveyard get shuffled in. Now, the trick, though, is Jace gives flashback, but because there's that window where Jace -3s to give a card flashback, Noah could respond then.
Something that was going on there, Danny could -3 the Jace, and then if Noah goes for Learn from the Past, he could just make the Haunted Dead happen in that window. This way, Noah doesn't let either of those things happen.
Just shuffles it up. So Danny back to no cards in graveyard. Just a lone Jace and a Vessel. And he knows that Noah's got 2 Deep Fiend, or has a Deep Fiend left in his hand. 1 more land and he'll be able to use it. Dan's going to rebuild the yard. He's got a good one here. Cracks the Vessel, finds Haunted Dead, Prized Amalgam, Sunken Hollow, Painful Truths. So he takes the land, which means he only has 3 card types in his graveyard. But he'll play it.
And now this graveyard is arguably better than the one he just shuffled away.
Yeah, they recover from this rather quickly. It's not like Leyline of the Void where you're actually shutting down the graveyard deck. You're just taking a turn away from them, which I think in the ramp matchup is okay.
Yeah.
Jace -3 gives Painful Truths flashback, so Danny will go down to 2 card types in graveyard, but a ton of cards in hand. Nissa attacks Jace down to 1. Upkeep, here comes the Deep Fiend, sprouting out of the Primal Druid. It's kind of gross, actually, if I like that. But, you know,
There's nothing that's supposed to be pleasant or otherwise agreeable when it comes to Eldrazi.
Gets a land off Primal Druid, will tap 4 permanents. We're getting dangerously close to Nissa flipping. Yeah, you see he gets the basic mountain off Primal Druid. He's trying to leave Danny with just a basic island.
Yeah, and the one island, it can't really do anything for Jessup. If you leave him with, say, a forest untapped, he could either play another land, cast one of his 2-mana enablers. Traverse the Elven Wall is not very exciting right now, but that's another spell he would potentially be able to cast. Say, Evolving Wilds and Traverse, he would have Delirium.
So Danny's holding with the tap trigger. He could use that Haunted Dead in response. This is his last shot at black mana. He'll tap 2. Now that island, that basic island on top, he's going to get to keep that one. So Haunted Dead's going to come out of the graveyard. He'll discard Kozilek's Return. That one seems great. Remember, his deck actually can't cast the card at all. Discard Stitchwing Scob. Now he'll pay 3 more. Oh, this is nice. To emerge his own Deep Fiend. Tapping. Okay. So yeah, a little bit of timing here. He then floats the mana, lets the tap trigger resolve, lets the Deep Fiend hit, then emerges so he can tap Noah's Deep Fiend.
Mm-hmm. And that was really nice sequencing by Jessup. He was able to trigger the Kozilek's return and take the Nissa off the table before Noah can make it a Planeswalker.
That's great. Jace pluses to shrink the Deep Fiend down to a 3/6. Then Danny draws. Well, other order. He drew the Swamp, then used the Jace. Gets back Prized Amalgam, says go. So if he was worried about Noah just chaining Deep Fiends, he's got some insurance here. 15 life points. Has a blocker now.
Yeah.
But Noah, he really wanted that Planeswalker. He'll grapple. And you see, even though he flipped a Deep Fiend off the grapple, just no interest. He wants that Nissa. He'll cast her, get a forest, play the forest, flip her into a Planeswalker, has the mana for Vessel. This is a pretty good sequence for Walker.
And at this stage, redundant Deep Fiends are still only an avenue for him to play defense. Jessup has a little too much going on now. He can't really lock him out, given that Jessup had the Deep Fiend on the previous upkeep. So I like getting the Nissa, trying to press a heavier advantage before he starts going for more Deep Fiends.
And Noah's graveyard's actually not cooperating very well with him. He's got instant, he's got creature and sorcery, but that's actually it. Nissa will plus show him another grapple from the past. We go back to Dan Jessup. He's going to get a turn. Noah didn't leave up blue, so there's no Deep Fiend emerge shenanigans waiting.
On the topic of Deep Fiend emerge shenanigans, that was Jessup's pick up here.
In these ramp mirrors, you'd think that they're about Emrakul, but the more I play them, the more I suspect, and I don't want to say with authority because these games are hard, but I suspect that the mirrors are much more about Elder Deep Fiend than about Emrakul.
It's definitely the way that you can just get in one big combat. You get enough bodies on the table. It's not hard to make them lethal with Deep Fiends.
Danny shrinks down the Elder Deep Fiend. He then attacks everything at Nissa. Nissa's going to take 4 off it. There's no way Noah can prevent it. So rather than blocking the most damage, he just decides to, for free, kill the Prized Amalgam, and then Nissa hits the graveyard.
And Jessup was attacking for free with the Amalgam as well, as we see the Haunted Dead, which was previously emerged. So he's ready to go and put that on the battlefield anytime he wants.
So I'm going to make another claim here. I said how hard Teamer emerges. I'm noticing with the Sultai emerge, now Danny has to balance the fact that 1, he's a ramp deck, so he wants to play all his lands. But 2, he's a Haunted Dead deck, so he wants to not play his lands. You see Danny going the Haunted Dead route, didn't make his land drop for the turn, though he had multiple lands in hand.
Where the Teamer emerge deck will often tap 8 mana and cast Elder Deep Fiend, the Sultai emerge deck is almost never doing that. It basically wants to emerge it every time, using Haunted Dead to that effect. Yeah,
but yet his deck still does have... I guess no, it just doesn't have any Emrakuls in it. It doesn't have one in the deck. Noah's going to crack Vessel and end step. He sees Emrakul, Jace, Ishkana, and Vessel. He's got 4 types in his graveyard. Takes Jace. Not yet time for the Eldrazi Overlord.
And the one thing that the Jace enables him to do, he doesn't want Emrakul just yet, but flipping the Jace into a Planeswalker allows him to flash back the grapple, get the Emrakul eventually. Or a Deep Fiend.
Oh, I do like that. Yeah, just okay. The Teamer emerge deck I played didn't have Jace, but no, that just adds another level, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Upkeep.
These decks are so far from easy.
Upkeep. Danny's going to try to tap Noah down. Here's the Deep Fiend in his hand. He'll emerge it off Haunted Dead. Love it. That's one of these great interactions that the deck has. You see Noah setting aside the lands that were targeted. Danny not even tapping the blocker. He just wants the lands. But will Noah respond? He has 7 mana here. Debating, does he? We know he has a grapple. He could do that. Looks like he will. He's actually doing it off of a Pain land, however. Pilgrimage, land, gather the pack. Takes Ishkana. Ooh, I do like that. So, backing up, Danny actually did tap the Elder Deep Fiend and 3 lands. And now Noah, land 5, Ishkana, easy game, 3 spiders.
No Deep Fiend, no problem.
As long as there's not a Kozilek's return flashback, Noah's fine here.
And given that Danny just cast that Deep Fiend, doesn't have the return yet, his odds are pretty good at fading that.
I remember that Haunted Dead was brought back in upkeep so that Danny could emerge off it. So yes, Prized Amalgam comes back.
I believe Danny's pickup was Distended Mindbender. And though it's not going to help him punch through on the board more than he already is, that's going to be really devastating for Walker's hand.
I mean, that's just that card seems good against ramp. It's just like written all over it, right?
The card seems just good. This card's just great, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's issues, spots where it's bad. I don't think it'll be good against Cedric Phillips's deck.
A little slow, a little slow.
A little slow, little only hits one thing, maybe zero if all Cedric played all his things. But against a ramp deck that's got some big, I mean, especially the layout of this Team or Emerge deck, right? Almost the whole deck is 1 and 2 mana cantrips. They frequently are holding onto grapples because they want to cash them out later. Then they have Eldrazi's. This Mindbender seems great. Danny will plus the Jace to 4, not ready to lose the Planeswalker just yet. He shrinks Ishkana down to a 1/5, so we have 4 1-power spiders. This means that those Deep Fiends with 6 toughness, there's no way for Noah to kill them on the blocks.
Yeah, best he can do is chump block them.
And that's what he'll do. 2 Deep Fiends swing, 2 tokens hit the graveyard. And we'll see what Danny wants to do. He's got to be concerned about Kozilek's return at some point here. There's not one in Noah's yard just yet.
Danny's deck is fairly return-proof. It would kill the Mindbender now that he's casting it, but the Deep Fiends don't get hit by it unless it's being cast and triggered.
Distended Mindbender emerges out of Prized Amalgam, so now he'll look at Noah's hand. Mindbender, you see Emrakul, Traverse, Jace, land. Okay, yeah, this is what I mentioned. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, so you're getting 2 great cards. Noah is still left with something, and the Jace is the slowest avenue to getting back on Emrakul, where the Traverse could just find it. The Jace has to flash something back to do that.
We'll go over to Noah Walker. He was left with a Jace. He'll cast it. He'll pass back to Danny Jessup. Danny will draw. I mean, the fact that you got Emrakul and Traverse, which is basically a wild card at this point, and he had to sacrifice, what, a Prized Amalgam for it? That's not reasonable.
No, it was very powerful. It is unfortunate how redundant Noah's hand was. All 3 of those things could just be Emrakul, right? So
yeah,
if that's what he wants, he's going to get it.
Because Jace flips, flashes back, the Traverse becomes, yeah.
But he only gets 1.
Yeah, he only gets 1. When your deck is all cantrips, it does have that effect, right? And that's why this Team Emerge deck is so scary. It only has 3 Emrakuls. Its threat count is actually so low, and we see that when it plays against the black decks, which try to, obliterate their threats. He's got 2 Deep Fiends, 2 Ishkanas, and 3 Emrakuls, and that's really it for threats. But he just finds them and gets them back, and finds them and gets them back. But one way Daniel tried to answer that, he's just going to try to swing everything. Here's all 3 of the Eldrazi's swinging in. Deep Fiend blocks Mindbender. Spider chumps a Deep Fiend, but another Deep Fiend connects. Noah's taking some damage, down to 14. Yeah, and normally Mindbender's very poor in this matchup, 5-5 against 5-6, but Danny did plus Jace on Noah's 5-6, so it was a 3-6, which is why the Mindbender's still on the table. Grapple is the play for Jessup. Mills into Jace, Grapple, and Deep Fiend.
Not a lot to think about there.
Takes the Deep Fiend. This is just the card that's, I said it before, this is the card that matters. He's got 3 mana. He has the double blue. Now, if he wanted to emerge that Deep Fiend, he'd have to do it off one of the other big Eldrazi's, I believe.
Yeah, right now. The Mindbender is somewhat expendable relative to the Deep Fiends, just because it doesn't do combat quite as well. But yeah, on this window, we might even see him not cast it.
Danny will pass. We go to Noah Walker. Effects on upkeep. Noah's waiting.
If he doesn't, though, very likely that Noah can just make an Emrakul this turn.
Yeah, and you always have to be worried. The emerge creatures are a big liability when you're getting Emrakul.
Yes. Sacrifice the wrong part of your board to cast it.
What's the most miserable game I had playing Team Emerge? I'd gotten Emrakul, and they had me cast my Emrakul, then emerge Elder Deep Fiend out of my Emrakul, then emerge Wretched Griff out of my Deep Fiend. And this was just real. I was like, wait, no, the chain's going the wrong way. Like, this is horrible.
Oh, yeah. That is not good.
I lost that game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he had an Emrakul and I had a Wretched Griff.
Yeah, that's not a good matchup for Wretched Griff.
Deep Fiend will emerge from Mindbender. We'll see what lands Danny wants to go for. Looks like he's going for the blue mana and the 2 blockers. So both islands, Deep Fiend and Ishkana. He's trying to, I think, kill Noah on the next turn. So Noah's going to try to get out of this. Here's Jace, plus he'll get his Planeswalker.
And Noah's best bet at getting out of this might be using Jace, flashback, traverse, make Ishkana, find some chump blockers that way. It's not pretty.
I didn't think he traversing for Ishkana, then losing. If Jace will go down to 2, there's 2 spirit tokens, so he'll lose the Jace.
He's not doing a good job at keeping the Jace if he doesn't take this line.
Right. Ideally, he'd like to just make Emrakul this turn. He'd have to traverse. That puts him down to 5 mana. If he had a Shrine in his hand, I think he can have 6 card types and could maybe cast Emrakul this turn, but he does not. So there's not really a line for him to do that. The defense are just great in this matchup. They're win cons, they tap out your opponent's ramp deck, and they have 6 toughness.
And you're not seeing it so much here with 2 great players, but the Deep Fiend in this kind of matchup, that's going to really give a tremendous Magic player the ability to leverage that play skill. This card is not easy to work your way around.
And here's some great experience on Noah's side. He decides he needs a Kozilek's return, so he's going to, this is great. Instead of flashing back the Traverse, he flashed back Grapple to mill 3 cards, and he did mill Kozilek's return off of it. Gets back Elder Deep Fiend. Does not have double blue yet to emerge it, though. You'd have to have it out of hand, and there's the Yavimaya Coast.
That'll do.
Play Primal Druid from Noah Walker. He's got a chance. He'll pass. He put Planeswalker into his graveyard with Kiora as well, so we have a ton of card types. When he draws Emrakul, she'll be very castable.
And in Danny's upkeep here, Noah's thinking about when and what he wants to tap down with this Deep Fiend. Lets Danny draw his card for turn. Saves this Deep Fiend for a better window.
Well, I guess the idea would be if Danny attacks with everything, Noah can emerge a Deep Fiend, deal 5 to everything, and then actually has a profitable block on one of these 5/6s.
Yeah, his Deep Fiend won't be on the table when the Kozilek's return trigger resolves. Danny's will have been.
So now we go to attacks. Here's Elder Deep Fiend emerging. Cost Noah 2 life. He did it off the Yavimaya Coasts. He emerged it off of the Ishkana. Was his only option. He's got a Kozilek's return in his yard. Now, I'll be interested to see if he flashes it back. It kills the spirit tokens, which seems minor. But he does have a Jace on too.
Yeah. Defending the Jace does seem significant. And you can tap 2 Deep Fiends and 2 lands, catch the other one in combat if it decides to attack.
Yeah, Danny's remaining hand, he's just going to, I think, let everything tap. He's got Grapple, Jace, Prized Amalgam. And yeah, Noah is going to crack use the Kozilek's return. He's trying to protect that Jace.
And tapping down the Deep Fiend here instead of leaving Danny with the option to make an attack that there's really no way that he would make. This does give Noah the avenue to be aggressive on the following turn.
And Danny's going to discard Prized Amalgam and Jace to a Haunted Dead. There's going to be an Amalgam trigger on the stack. Jace pluses, shrinking a Deep Fiend. End of turn. Here comes Prized Amalgam. Here comes another Prized Amalgam. A go. You kind of, Noah just cracked a Kozilek's Return, but you feel like he needs another one.
Well, that's one thing about this matchup is Danny is also trying to Kozilek's Return. So that being one of the focal points of the Teamer Emerge strategy, this is not where it shines.
Grapple with the past for Noah. Land, Nissa, Vessel, gets back Emrakul. Does not have a Kozilek's Return in the yard, but he's got at least 6 card types in his graveyard, so this Emrakul, she's very castable. And you see 7 mana plus Emrakul, so he has instant, sorcery, creature, land, enchantment, planeswalker, everything but the artifact. So here's Emrakul. He will get Jessup's next turn. Jace will plus to 3.
And Jessup is at 14 with the Pain Land.
Okay.
That's the range that we've been calling Emrakul lethal.
All right, he shrinks down the Spirit Token. Danny's going to grapple. Mills into 2 lands and a Kozilek's Return. Gets back maybe nothing. I just think he didn't want Noah to have that tool.
He doesn't want to have 2 cards in hand, maybe, so he can't Haunted Dead himself.
Oh, I got something. Okay, if Noah had access to the grapple, then Noah could have suicided a Deep Fiend, blocked the Deep Fiend, grappled into Kozilek's Return, flashed back the return, and maybe wiped Danny's board.
Sure.
With Danny's own return and saying, okay, if you're going to do that, just give you as few things as I can to work with. He grappled back the Stitchwing Scob. Love it. And now he draws. Danny's got Gather the Pack for the turn. Now that's actually a dangerous one if you're worried about this Kozilek's Return. If Noah can find an Emerge creature. I was going to say if he can, but there's not too many left. The Mindbender's in the yard. The 3 Deep Fiends are in play.
Yeah, it's probably not the highest percentage play, but you can cast it and aim to miss.
Oh, flashback grapple from Danny. This is Noah playing the turn. He'll get back the Mindbender. Yeah, he has his sights set on that Kozilek's Return. It would kill Noah's Deep Fiends as well, to be fair.
But the Emrakul is all that matters.
Gotta be sad that they dummy proof these cards. You can't make it target yourself.
That's a real bummer.
So an attack with the 2 Deep Fiends. Noah blocks one with the Emrakul, double blocks one with the other Deep Fiends. So both of them die. He's going to now cast Extended Mindbender, flashing back the Kozilek's, or using the Kozilek's Return, dealing 5 to everything. So Noah loses one of his Deep Fiends. Danny loses all his creatures. And now it's a pass. And a note here, Noah used that waste to make Danny go down to 12, and it's really going to matter. If Danny was hoping to put the 3/1 Scob in front of Emrakul, she has Trample, and that 1 point.
The Scob, I believe, enters tapped. He could make a Spirit with Haunted Dead.
I don't know. I mean, if he casts it.
Oh, yeah, he can cast it. Yeah,
like,
sure.
Great
yeah,
place
he can make
this.
1 toughness in 1 of 2 ways.
Yeah, I was looking at the far worse play.
Yeah, sure. So Danny had to take a point to cast that grapple to try to set up that way, but then Noah did that additional point, and now Emrakul with its trample, not enough flying toughness. This looks lethal.
Well, Jace going to go to the bin to give flashback to 1 more card for Jessup. It's going to be Grapple. He'll cast it. Mills Traverse land. Gets back an Elder Deep Fiend. Okay, we're back to this game.
And Emrakul has protection from instants, but not creatures with flash. So you can tap it down.
It feels like an instant.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way, though.
Buy himself a turn this way.
Deep Fiend will emerge out of Mindbender, tapping 1, maybe both of Noah's creatures. Tapping the lands seems like it doesn't do much. Now, the problem here is that Noah's got a Planeswalker on 3 loyalty. So that's not good for Danny Jessup.
No, that Jace is fairly easy to convert into another Emrakul if that's the route that he wants to go, or really do any of a myriad of things.
So he tapped instead the Emrakul and all of Noah's islands. He's trying to stop Noah from, I don't know, I was going to say from flashing back a Deep Fiend, but Noah's got 2 Yavimaya Coasts. Flashing back a Deep Fiend, of course, shorthand for flashback a spell that gets you a Deep Fiend, cast Deep Fiend, because magic is simple. Jace will give flashback to traverse the Ulfin Vault. Noah will then get it, use it, cast it, get another Emrakul. Land, Emrakul, here she is with 7. Legend rolls away his own creature, gets another one of Danny's turns. Danny draws. He's got 4 cards in hand. Oh, he has one of those discarders in the graveyard. We saw what happened last time. Noah was a real meanie with this.
Mm-hmm. You can just trigger that a couple times. He has multiple options. You can use Transgress to target yourself. That one is just player.
Elder Deep Fiend attacks into Emrakul. That hits the bin.
Yeah, given that a Haunted Dead does not present enough to get him out of lethal range, may as well just Mind Twist him.
Haunted Dead, discarding all the cards, making a token, dealing himself an extra damage with that Pain Land. And those prized amalgams are not mazed, so Danny actually gets the 3/3s back.
Mm-hmm. Though it's far from enough to be lethal here.
Danny draws Swamp. He's at 11. He's got 1 power in the air. This might be it.
Now, because he has the Haunted Dead, he could have drawn Grapple, gotten back Deep Fiend, and emerged that with the mana available, but doesn't have that.
Jessup will pass to Noah Walker. He draws. Is that a lethal attack? It is. It's a handshake. Team card hoarder Noah Walker moves to 9-1. A deft 2 games there from Walker. Game 2, really both players showing off the power and complexity of their strategies.